So become a master of, we're going to get you traffic to your video. That's going to create traffic to your website. And then we're going to convert people on your website into a lead for you. And you know what? We'll do your video too, because we freaking rule at videos. And you know what? We're going to get your video on social, and we're going to manage your social media also. All of a sudden, you're handling the bigger problem for the client.
For those that are thinking right now, like, hey, I'm shooter, editor, like that's my jam. 2 or 3 years from now, it's gonna be challenged. We're at an interesting time in this work where we have to be thinking more than just like, no, I'm just gonna become the best shooter, the best editor that there is.
And what we see in the businesses that are at most at risk is the generalist. It's the generalist that is most at risk.
Yeah.
If I started another agency, it would be digital marketing as the front end thing that I sell, and I would attach myself to some kind of platform that was the one we were masters of, HubSpot or something that we were the masters of, and we're going all in on this.
On this episode of the podcast, we're talking about practical tactic for winning clients by conducting competitive analysis. We also talk about the importance of niching and residual income in your video business. And lastly, but not leastly, sales strategies for creative entrepreneurs. That and so much more on this episode of the show. What's up, my friend? It is Ryan from the Grow Your Video Business Show. I'm so happy that you're here. I am so happy. Oh man, it is so fun to be doing this show. If you're new here, welcome. This show is really designed for video business owners that want some direction, want some guidance, don't want to feel like they're alone and isolated, and you got to figure all this stuff out, how to run a business, how to scale a business, how to be profitable, how to do creative work, how to do all of the things without pulling out your hair, and with being able to stay creative and fully energized for your clients and their projects and all the things. So if you listen to this show, I guarantee will help you make your life better. I'm just teasing, kind of teasing. This is an awesome episode. My guest, Michael, is incredibly talented, and I'm super excited for you to hear from him. And before we get into the episode, I just want you to know I have this AI resource guide that if you haven't gotten access to it yet, you can do that by going to studiosherpas.com/AI. This is a document where people from the community have contributed. These are apps that we're using that are helping speed up our workflow, helping add more value to our clients than we could prior to their existence. So you can check this resource guide out. I've got currently my top 6. There's a whole bunch of apps and links and things, but my top 6 that are just making my life so much better in doing this work. So AI is a great creative partner. Whether or not she sounds like Scarlett Johansson, if you're using ChatGPT, yeah, that's currently in the news and causing all sorts of wildness. Okay, without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Here we go. What's up, friends? Hey, welcome to another episode of the show. With me today is the famous Michael Janda, hailing from Utah, like far away, different time zone. But I'm so glad.
What are you, Central Time?
No,
Central?
we're Eastern. Everybody thinks Michigan is Central, but we're not. We're Eastern, for better or worse. But anyway, Michael, thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited to have this conversation today.
So happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I love doing this. I love meeting new people like you that are successful in multiple different endeavors. And yeah, we share the journey. That's the thing. Like all these creative entrepreneurs that are like on the other side of 20 years doing this. We got all the stories. We've been screwed by the clients. We've had the bad employee problem. We've had the failed project. We've given the money back to the clients. We've done all the the badges of honor.
Yeah.
In the journey.
Check.
And we're still alive to talk about it now. So
yep, we've survived. Speaking of which, did you see, it was floating around on LinkedIn just a couple of weeks ago, an agency created a video called The Client. I think it's called The Client. It's like a movie trailer.
No.
Oh, dude.
I didn't see it, no.
I have to include it in the link here in the show notes. It is...
Okay.
It is just amazing when you think about, all the horror stories of clients. They turned it into like a horror movie trailer. Dude, it is so good.
The movie The Client with Susan Sarandon in it and stuff.
It's not a real movie.
It's not that.
No.
Yeah, okay. They didn't just cut up that and make it about the misery of.
It is hilarious.
Yeah, you got to send me the link. I would love to see that.
So, okay, you've built an agency, you sold an agency, you speak all things agency. Before we get into that, like, which I've got all the questions. I know you've done some work with Chris Do. Yeah. How did you get connected with him?
You know what? Ben Burns, who's at The Future.
Yeah.
Also, he's kind of Chris's right hand person over there. So this was pre The Future. My first book, Burn Your Portfolio. My first book, Burn Your Portfolio. Yeah, pre The Future. This is like, what movie is this from? Some Terminator movie.
Pre The Future, Part 3.
Yeah, the Ben Burns was the president of I think it was the AIGA chapter.
Oh, okay,
in Richmond, Virginia.
Okay.
And they were putting on a little conference, and they had me go out and speak, and Chris go out and speak, and then a couple other people that spoke at that conference. And so I met Chris there, and it was interesting. And I'm going to do a podcast episode with both of them, or at least Ben, because I want to get the inside thing, because I think that was the moment that they started talking about building the thing, and Chris was hiring Ben, and it was all happening because I saw a couple conversations between them that were kind of going on in the corner. And then it was like a week or two later that I saw Ben posting photos of being in LA and talking with Chris and stuff. And I was like, something's going on here. And then they rebranded whatever Chris was doing before The Future into The Future, and Ben ended up moving out there and that whole thing. So
and the rest
it was
is
kind
history.
of just like that. It was like that little moment right before it all happened for them. But it's been fun to see the success that they've done. Chris, I know, has just worked his butt off to make that happen. The amount of content they produce is crazy.
And the quality.
It's been a big investment. He's retained all the employees and stuff. So he went all in. People like you and me were like, schedule our own podcast and stuff. We're not making a big production out of it. And that's how I want it now in my life.
Yeah, that's good. My favorite Chris Do story, the first time I had him on I guess the only time I've had him on the show, he shows up, and I had seen his work before, and I was like just in love with some of the YouTube content he was putting out. And I always go through my little checklist, and I just confirm, make sure I'm phonetically saying the names correctly. And I say, okay, now we're on to your name, Chris Do. And he's like, no, it's actually Do. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like out of all the ones that I'm surprised they even said this one out loud, because I thought it was going to be so easy. Fail, epic fail.
That is a fail.
Live to tell about it though, good thing.
Okay, so you would assume, Do, if you're like, smack on gringo, that's how you spell it. D-O. If you're going to go gringo everything, that's how you're going to do it right there, Chris Do.
That's how you're going to do it.
I'm surprised that you didn't call him Tris Do because of the CH at the start of the thing. That would have been the most epic. That would have been the most epic fail.
I've never done, that's good. That's now I'm going to use that. Tris. Perfect. Okay, so let's talk about your business. So you kind of did all the things seemingly from the outside in the agency world. What was your start? What was the peak of that career? And then take us through the transition out.
The peak of the career, well, I sat in every chair. So I did the basement freelancer thing for 2 years, afraid to hire. Then I started hiring, got the cheapest office space I could, and started to scale. Outgrew that space in like a year and a half. And so I got the bigger space that I purchased, grew to a decent size. We had like 12 employees or something. Wow. And then the recession hit, and I kept everybody employed for 6 months and had to lay off half my team anyway, because that was just a miserable time in any business. And then we rebuilt. And during the recession, I got a great deal on a shell space and built my dream studio with the glass walls and the exposed beams and the wood floors, and just got to design that whole thing and made that purchase during that. And then we scaled up to the 18, 20 person size in that studio. And then I felt like it was kind of the cherry on top. We had the great clients. We were doing work with Disney and Google and all these great clients. I had the cool office space. I had the size of team. I didn't want the 100-person team or multiple location kind of thing. Those were the next tiers in option. And I didn't want that stuff. So I just started looking around thinking, what do I do next? And I reached out to somebody who wanted to merge with me a few years before. And I said, hey, I'm kind of exploring what's next for my business. I might downsize it into a hyper niche. I might sell it. I might retire early. I'm not sure what I'm going to do here. And they were interested in buying. So they made an offer, and I went and worked through my buyout for a couple of years and then left there to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
So that's kind amazing. Of the quick journey. Yeah.
So it was, I think 2015, 2016, I read Built to Sell.
Yeah.
Had John Warrillow on the show. Yeah. I just feel like, I mean, what an amazing concept. And I resonated so much with the opening of that book where, he's a designer and I think he might've been the creative director at the business, and they did everything, right? Branding, all of the things. And then the guy's like, your business isn't worth anything. Like, nobody's going to buy it. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, do all this work. And he's like, you have to simplify. You have to, have a process for the thing. What's the one thing that you do and do it really well? And I was fascinated by that. And I've spent the last 9 years in my mind, I'm like, I want my business to be in a place where I could sell it. I don't want to sell it, but I don't want to be the cog. I don't want to be the bottleneck. I want to get out of the way. And more, we just had we do EOS, we practice EOS, and we just had our quarterly session last week. And so I'm on this high once again of like, okay, I'm in the way of us really productizing what we do. Nobody's going to buy my business unless I do something like this. So I'm just curious what the makeup of your business was, and if you had anything like that, or did somebody just come alongside because you had a good book of business and it was somehow replicable or growable from there?
Yeah, so it was interesting because I fit a couple of voids in their business. It was a little serendipitous that way. They had gone through their executive level creative directors a few times. They had like 50, 60 employees when they purchased my agency. And at the time, I think I had 18. So they were a bigger agency. They didn't have national reach. They were doing most things in our local market, most of their clients. And they were big engagements and stuff, and they had this big team, and they had a lot of residual income and stuff. So they had those things, but they were missing in their partnership schematic. They had the CEO, they had a CTO, and they had a CMO, and they didn't have a creative design person in their executive level hierarchy.
Yeah.
So that was one void that I filled, because that's my background. My personal background is the design stuff, and my big passion is that piece. So I filled that void. And then they had local based clients, and I had national reach. So the first thing we did when I sold was transfer my Google vendorship. We were a Google agency. We went through and did all the paperwork, working with the agency outsourced team at Google to convert all of that over to the agency that bought me. That's the kind of stuff you can't just call Google and get on their list. So if you want to get Google as a client, you either need to relationship your way in, like what I did, which because I had somebody who left a client in LA. They went to work at YouTube. They sent a project to me from YouTube. And then all of a sudden we were a Google vendor. And then we leveraged that Google vendorship by reaching out to tons of people at Google and building our client list there. Anyway, you can't just do that from the street. Who are you going to call at Google? and say, hey man, you want some design work? You can't do it. You can't do it. So I think it was that kind of thing that was the motivation for them to purchase. I didn't have anything that they couldn't make themselves. My processes were they were streamlined. My proposals and templates, my portfolio, it was all great. And we had great clients in it, but you can get that another way. You can make concept projects to show off your ability to do cool work or whatever. It was really the relationships with those the national based clients and filling that creative leader void in their business.
So I was really hoping you were going to come on the show today and just give me the roadmap to how
I'll give you the roadmap because I got the roadmap because I think about it sometimes too. If I ever did this over again, the agencies that built themselves on ongoing residual income have much greater value than a one and done creative shop. Now, we were one and done. We would do like 5 projects a year for a client. It wasn't, but there was very little residual. So I look at the agencies that are doing things digital marketing related. They're doing Google ads, they're doing Facebook ads, they're doing search engine optimization, they're doing conversion optimization, and you stack your clients on a monthly ongoing retainer or a quarterly retainer, and you manage those things. And then the projects like redesigning their website or making them landing pages or whatever become these little offshoot projects as the gravy of your business, but they're not the core revenue of your business. Now you have projectable income. Now you can go to somebody and say, hey, we're going to bill $14 million this year because here's all my contracts. So if you buy my agency for $20 million, it's only going to take you a year and a half to generate the revenue back. Or we're going to do 14 million with 5 million in profit. Here's all my contracts. Now somebody buying it can say, okay, I'll pay you 7 million. And in a year and a half, I'll be even. And then I'll have all the profit moving forward. That's the way to do it. And I kicked myself about halfway through my agency build when I started to realize, crap, man, these digital marketing agencies have 80 employees and I'm over here grinding out cool projects and hoping for the next one to land with my 18 employees. Now, I like my journey and we had cool work and I love the people that I worked with and all that. And if I ever did it over again, stack up the residual stuff. That's the blueprint. That's the blueprint.
Well, that is the blueprint. Yes. And I agree. So you've got this massive audience of filmmakers who think, and for us, the longest time, we were, when we did wedding films, it was like, that was the thing, this couple, well, I guess we did have some that came back years later and said, hey, will you do our second wedding? But for the most case, it was one off.
Okay, so at the 14-year mark, all of a sudden you get all your clients back. This is what happens.
Or I think it's 7 year. The 7 year. Anyway,
is it 7? 7 is the mark. Okay.
So, ton of one-off project, and then we transitioned in 2012. We're doing branding films, and you just need, when you rebrand or when you don't have video, you just need one brand video, right? You need one flagship brand video. So we did for years just one project, and it was profitable and it was a big, big revenue, but that was it. We built this incredible relationship with these institutions, these businesses and whatever. And then that was kind of like, that was it. So many of us ask that question of like, okay, we're not offering ad strategy. We're not offering Facebook ads. We're not, we're not taking anything to the finish line beyond here's your videos. I hope you guys put them in a campaign that works so that you call us later when you're ready for your next campaign. So what thoughts or what ideas you have for somebody that is making videos and maybe is used to just like a one-off, maybe 2 projects a year with a client?
The value of the video after you're done shooting it is nothing. The value of getting that video, the value of getting that video in front of potential customers for the person that you made it for, that's where the massive value is. And so I would look at that and say, and I know I'm not discounting the work, but I'm just making the point that this video with no eyeballs has zero value. So where is the real value in the potential engagement with you and a client? It's getting the eyeballs there. So become a master of, we're going to get you traffic to your video. That's going to create traffic to your website. And then we're going to convert people on your website into a lead for you through some kind of a lead magnet or some kind of conversion metric of some sort. We're going to convert them. And that's the engagement. And you know what? We'll do your video too, because we freaking rule at videos. And you know what? We're going to get your video on social and we're going to cut it into 17 different mini videos. And we're going to manage your social media also. All of a sudden, you're handling the bigger problem for the client, because the video itself is really a small problem. I mean, and AI is a scary world that we have now, because you can just go in and type your thing. They were making beer commercials and whatnot on AI, and they were weird, and their fingers were weird and all that stuff, but hold on tight, because in a year, it's not going to be so weird anymore. Right. And that's just all prompt related. So where's the value? It's getting the traffic there and converting that traffic into customers for your client. If you can figure out that and offer that engagement, it's a sellable business.
Yeah. Literally, I recorded an episode earlier today with Austin Falter, who is a fellow Utah native.
He is.
So, and same exact. This is the same conversation where they schedule posting, they manage all the things. So they shoot once a month with a health practitioner, and then they schedule all the posting. So they're managing, all of that. So it's not just handing off, hoping that the company has what they need and that they do it right, that they do it well. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's an interesting topic. I'm more excited about this idea than I ever have been, and I think that I'll continue to probably run into similar approaches to how to do it. I know that there are ways to have like video retainers with clients, but you have to be in the right market. Like Austin's working with doctors and health practitioners, and he's creating short form content. And these are people that want to show up on YouTube. They want to be seen as an expert. So they want and they need ongoing content. They don't want to shoot it, plan it, edit it, post it themselves. So Austin's like the perfect candidate for that. We've worked with so many different brands and agencies and industries that they're typically, they've got a small marketing team. So why would they lean on us to do any of that stuff after the handoff, of the actual footage? So that's kind of where the challenge is. And for those that are thinking right now, like, hey, I'm shooter, editor, like that's my jam. It's going to be like that work is going to be, 2 or 3 years from now, it's going to be challenged. Not that people don't need your guidance. Number one, they need guidance. They need help. They need to know what kind of stuff they should be making. You can't just go to ChatGPT and say like, okay, write me a website. It's like, well, there's a lot that goes into all of that planning and strategery and all of that. But it's just we're at an interesting time in this work where we have to be thinking more than just like, no, I'm just going to become the best shooter, the best editor that there is, and that's going to be good enough. Some cases, maybe. A lot of cases, maybe not.
Maybe that's optimistic. That's optimistic. You mentioned, okay, and I don't want to paint a bad picture, but you mentioned strategy.
Yeah.
And you mentioned campaign. And that's the kind of stuff that will still exist in an easier to edit world than what we have.
Yeah.
The strategy. So being able to come up with the campaign, the great idea, and then being able to use whatever tools you have to do to execute on the great idea. And some of those tools will be AI and voice controlled editing and who knows whatever else, or just like edit this. And then it does a better job than you were doing 25 years ago. And it's a single button click. That's the world we're already starting to be in.
Yeah.
So that piece, the strategy, campaign ideation, I think is super, super valuable and will be longer term than cutting the videos. And then the back end of now you've got the video. How do we get the right people to that video? Understanding that. And you mentioned that, some of your clients don't have the people for it. Well, or they already have a marketing team for that. That's scary. You got to be better than their internal marketing team to land it. You got to be niched into a specific audience or something. You're the greatest dentist video maker of all time. Or you got to be like the Squatty Potty agency that is in Utah. That's super quirky. They pioneered that. What was that agency called? I was
Harmon
trying
Brothers.
to look for it. Harmon Brothers?
Harmon, yeah.
Yeah, Harmon Brothers, yeah. So finding your way to that, and they do it for product launches and stuff, but you could be that in a super hyper niche. Any dentist in Detroit should be using you as their video agency because you make the coolest, most memorable dentist videos of all time. And that's a sustainable business. There's probably hundreds and hundreds of dentists in the Detroit area. That's a sustainable business model. So I think figure out that piece.
Yeah. And the other thing, I know there's some people listening to this that are like, Ryan, I've been doing this work for 3 years and I love it. I don't want to sell my business. And I also don't want to do dentist videos. That sounds boring, right? I'm going to get terrible.
I hate that.
Yeah. So, that's reality. My story, it's like I'm 20 years into this business and to have consistency and predictability, I've been chasing that. And I know what it takes because I've had so many conversations. And one of my good friends sold his photography business for millions of dollars recently, and because he said, you know what, I can do all the things. I've been doing all the things we've been in business the same amount of time. I just want to strangle him, but I'm so happy for him. But he had to cut out all of the things and pick one super niche thing inside of the world of photography. And that was scalable. That was teachable. His team grew from 3 people to over 20 people to, I don't even know how many employees they have now, but he's not in the day-to-day anymore. So, I don't know. It's wild.
I saw that happen with a few agencies and they blew up in comparison to mine, but they leveraged, one of them was a local agency. And when Adobe Marketing Cloud came out, Adobe has a headquarters near my house and near where my office was. And they were downtown Salt Lake. Anyway, Adobe Marketing Cloud comes out and they were like, this is the platform. We're going all in on this platform. And so they go in and they build a relationship with Adobe. They become masters of the brand new Adobe Marketing Cloud because nobody else was. They get a booth at the Adobe Max or their Adobe Marketing Conference or whatever. They get a booth there. They're there and they start representing themselves as the Adobe Marketing Cloud agency. And because they built this relationship with Adobe, and Adobe goes and spends all the money to get people aware of the product, now people are saying to Adobe, okay, I got your product. Now what do I do? And they were like, use this agency. Here's one of our partner agencies. They blew up, man. They blew up from doing a few million a year to the 20, 30, $50 million a year because of that appending themselves onto some kind of a product or some kind of a hyper niche or some kind of a thing. And what we see in the businesses that are at most at risk is the generalist. It's the generalist that is most at risk.
Yeah.
I would do that now too. I would be like, if I started another agency, it would be digital marketing as the front end thing that I sell. And I would attach myself to some kind of platform that was the one we were masters of, HubSpot or something that we were the masters of, and we're going all in on this.
Yeah. Is there an industry that you would go, or would you just say no, whoever needs this platform?
So when we niche, we can niche based on a variety of different criteria. You can do it based on a service that you offer. You can do it based on an industry. You can do it based on a product that you're offering. You can do it based on a location. You can do it based on a price point. These are all like categories of niching or niching that we can choose from. So if you're saying, okay, one of our niche categories is the product that we're attaching ourselves to, then that gets us partway down this niche funnel. And if we want to tighten up that niche even more, we could be the HubSpot agency for dentists. Now we're niched a little more. Now we can go and find clients a little easier. We know exactly where to advertise. But we could also just be the HubSpot agency for dentists in Detroit. Now we're super hyper niche. Yeah. We know exactly where to find our freaking clients. We can open up the Google map and just drop by all their offices. But then you're like, oh, wait a second, I just niched way too tight and now I can't sustain my business. So there is in niching, the way that I teach it, there's this thing of how broad are we? And the broader we are, the more clients we have to go after, but the more generic we are. And the tighter we are, the less clients, but we can land more percentage of them. Where do we do it on that spectrum? And I would play with it. I mean, if I were doing it, I probably wouldn't start with just an industry. I would go with a product and a service, digital marketing services, getting the traffic to your stuff, and then leverage a platform that we become masters of, and then start considering whether I want to do that just in regional, like the Western United States, or just my state or just my city or whatever. Yeah. Based on that batch of criteria, it's price point, it's industry, it's service that you're offering, it's a product that you're attaching yourself to. It's all those things that you're trying to decide which of these categories do I choose from or not. And if I were doing it now, I probably wouldn't pick an industry. I'd probably pick a platform and a set of services, and I would do it for whatever industry, but I would target the cities that I have the most relationships in. And one of those is where I live now, but I also have a lot of relationships in LA. I have a lot of relationships in San Francisco. And so I'd probably go after clients in those markets.
Yeah, I think that's great, because the thing is, like, even if you niche too small, niche, I don't say niche anymore.
Let's just say niche, man. We're both we're both American.
That's
America. We say niche. Say niche.
If you niche too far, you can always say, like, okay, well, like, let's expand this. The call that I was just on earlier today, this is exactly what we're talking about. I'm sorry, that was a different call. I was on a different call this morning. Anyway, nobody needs to know. Who cares which call, Ryan? Okay, yeah, you're right.
It's okay.
It's okay.
They all blend together over time.
They all do.
Yeah.
Targeting local, we had this amazing 5,800 square foot productions. I mean, it sounds like, we got this cool psych wall. Now we've got some podcast rooms where people can come and record. And it just feels homely. Warm and homey. I called somebody homely once, and I said their place was homely.
You meant homey? You meant homey? Like your posse?
Anyway, I haven't done a good job of marketing locally. I just think, I'm like, we've got connections all over the US and we like to travel. So I've been thinking too big. I'm like, I need to knock on every door locally, because other people are going to call us. They're going to find us on SEO or, podcast them on and whatever. But I need to just go after the people that are right down the street, that if they came to our studio, if they walked in, they'd be like, wow, like, this is really cool. But I have not done that. And I'm glad that you said location, because this is just like more for me to say, yep, Ryan, like, let's go back to like your backyard and have a ton of success there. And then, if we feel like we need to add another city or another state to the list, like, do it.
Yeah. Your website is your website for your client business.
Tellstudios.com is our production business site.
Tell Studios?
Yeah, TELL. We tell
Studios.
stories. Tell
Studios. Ah, yes. The design style matches. Okay. So you're renting out your square footage also. Yeah. So this is how I played the home court advantage game. I didn't really target clients in my local area either, because we had big clients that were spending more. Our local clients couldn't afford oftentimes the services at the price point that we were charging.
Yeah.
But I loved having local awareness just for my freaking self-esteem. So we were winning awards. We were winning awards in Salt Lake. I love that all the other business owners knew about my agency. It was, I was on the cover of the local business magazine one time. It was like, you're winning 40 under 40, just chalking up all the awards. And I was like, oh, this is great. I'll take it. I don't want any of these people as my clients, but I'll take it from a self-esteem standpoint.
Oh, man, that's fantastic.
So it worked for me. It worked for me that way. Anyway, so the home court advantage thing, man, after we got into our dream studio, I had freaking pictures of it everywhere, all over my site. It was pictures of the team, pictures of the studio space, because I wanted to sell that image.
Yeah.
And not locally, that was a big thing too, because I was trying to change the perception of some of my long-term clients that knew me when it was Mike Janda in his basement.
Right.
And now we were 18 people with a cool office space.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to change the perception of my business compared to that. It's not Mike Janda and friends anymore. We're actually an agency here with a reputable studio and revenue and the whole deal and a team. So I was motivated probably out of vanity on that. I was like, don't think I'm like the dude in his basement anymore. I've grown past that. But some of my clients couldn't let go of that image of me.
We're the and friends, Mike. We're the and friends.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so good. All right, so we have limited time, and I know you've had a lot of success in post your agency life in coaching freelancers and entrepreneurs and educating and all of the things through your courses and all of that stuff. If there is one area that you would say that you've had the most success in helping people achieve success, what is that thing? Help us all today.
It's the sales side of stuff, and I harp on this all the time. I mean, creative people, we're like the worst salespeople of all time. Yeah. You're afraid that if you actually pitch your wares to a client, that they're going to think that you're a freaking used car salesman and you're being too salesy, and they're going to hate you and they're going to say no and all that crap. And the reality is if you look at a spectrum of selling, like the used car salesman in a small town working out of a trailer is on the super hard selling thing. And most creatives are on the exact opposite side of the spectrum. There is such a humongous length of spectrum that creatives can go into without ever being too salesy. Ask your freaking clients for the next project when you finish the first one. Ask them for a referral. Go to the luncheon at your local Chamber of Commerce or your BNI group or whatever, AIGA or AdFed or wherever you want to get relationships. Go to the stuff. Stop hiding behind your computer, thinking that clients are going to drop out of the sky and be like, hey, I saw you on page 76 of Google and I'm kind of interested in having you do some video work for us. It's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. Yet so many creatives tend to play that game where and I'm intentionally trying to call out some of the people listening to this. It's time now. You have value to contribute to your clients' businesses, and change your mindset from I'm selling something into, okay, if I don't tell them about me, then they're going to choose to work with somebody else. And that other person is going to give them a bad project. They're going to give them a bad experience. And I know I can do it for them much better than the other person. Go tell them. Go tell the potential clients that. Tell them about you and look at it as I'm trying to help your business. I want to make your brand video, as an example we talked about earlier. I want to make your brand video. All your competitors have a brand video and you don't.
Yeah.
You have one, but it looks like you shot it on your phone and it's not edited very well. So I want to make you level up to the level of all your competitors. I can do that for you. Are you interested? That's not being too salesy. That's telling a client that you see a problem in their business and positioning yourself as the solution to that problem with the end objective of making their business better. Mm-hmm. Why is that? That's not salesy, but a lot of creatives, we feel like that's too salesy. I just got to hide behind my computer. Maybe I'll get a lead through my email today. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I mean, okay, it may happen twice a year for you.
Yeah.
But if you go to your local networking stuff and start trying to get your name out there, or in online communities and start building awareness of you and your services, the opportunities come. It's a funnel. Again, we want to drop as many people into the top of our funnel as possible because clients are going to drip out of the bottom of that funnel.
Right.
But we got to know and interact with a lot of people to make that client list drip out of the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. I love the idea, or just painting that picture. When you start with the end in mind and you think about, a potential client, if you just think about like the sale and making the money and depositing it versus, okay, why do they need video? Well, they need video because they need the exposure, and they need the exposure because what they're doing is valuable, and they need people to know about it so that people can hire them. Mm-hmm. And so they need a video for this. If you think like that versus like it's just another cash or check to cash or money in the bank, or just another sale, they're just another number, of course you're gonna feel a little bit icky because you're not thinking about it the right way, and you're not, we get stuck over here thinking because we've experienced so many bad salespeople and just feel like they're just after our money. But in the world of video, you're not just after the money. Like we love the creative process. We love creating something beautiful, emotive. Like that's why we do this. And without like exactly like what Michael's saying, without like telling people, here's how we're slow. We're slow to understand. You need to tell people and remind people. And that's why social media is so helpful, because you stay top of mind. We need to stay top of mind. If we don't, like we're gonna be on page 87 of Google and people, they're not gonna look us up and find us. So reminding people how you can help them, telling them, saying like, hey, I was on your website and I saw, I don't wanna be offensive or anything, but I feel like if you guys have this, it could help you grow, have a bigger impact, have more influence, because I think this is important. Not that I want your money. Yes, that comes with all of the things. But if we just change the way that we think about it, if we just change the way that we think about it, the whole process should be so much easier.
Yeah. One of the ways that I love to do that is not telling them that they have something bad, just showing them that their competitors have something better. Like entrepreneurs and CEOs were so motivated by competition. Like we're driven by competition. I knew all my competitors and I wanted to just destroy their businesses. No, not in a negative way. I was all friends with them and stuff. But when we would go head to head on a project, I was like, oh man, I know they're bidding on this. I want it so bad because I want to win. And that's fuel for so many of the people in the creative world. I'm sure, Ryan, you know who you compete with, and you probably feel that you can't be in business 20 years and not have competition as one of your big motivators. Use that, know that about entrepreneurs, and then use that as your entry. So it's not about saying, hey, your brand video sucks. It's more about saying, hey, I did a little competitive analysis of your 3 biggest competitors in the area, and I saw that these 2 have an awesome brand video. This one has a sucky brand video. I can make one better than these 2 awesome videos, and it's going to cost X amount of dollars, but then you'll be playing the same game as your competitors. Now, all of a sudden, the person is like, if they don't buy from you right then, you planted the sliver inside of their foot. And over the next 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, that sliver is going to get infected. and they're going to be hyper aware of every time they see the brand video from one of their competitors. And you're going to pop in their head and they're going to be like, oh man, that one person, Sally who told me about this, she was right. I love their video. Mine's so bad. I better call her. And are you staying in touch with these people that you're putting the sliver inside for the next 6 months, 2 months, 5 years? Are you staying in touch with them to stay top of mind? You should be. That's the other piece of sales. A lot of times it's just planting a seed of something you can improve and then staying top of mind until that seed turns into an infection that the client has to change. And now you're the one that they're going to choose to change it with.
Yeah, love that. Dude, that's so great. Plant slivers. It's really
Plant the sliver right in the foot until it gets infected. This is the way to the client's heart.
And there's pus. They show up. There's pus coming out everywhere, and you're just like, I can help you.
We could have gone down a very dark path on that. It was already dark enough, but we could have gone down a darker path.
This is so fun. Dude, how can people follow you, know more about what you offer? Where can they go? What can they do?
My website, michaeljanda.com, or Instagram and YouTube. My handle is morejanda on both of those platforms. And I share a ton of content. I have 2 podcasts that I'm doing right now, 2 Pixels Off and What the Hell Vedica, which I'm excited about. Just launched both of those in the last month or so. And they're both super fun. So you can find me in those places.
That is fantastic. Yes, nod to designers. That's just gets all the chuckles. I'm sure.
Right, it gets all the chuckles.
That's really good.
It gets all the chuckles.
Oh man, dude, I'm grateful. I'm so happy for your success, and thank you for being such an open book and bringing some great value to the community and making me laugh pretty much, pretty often.
That's good.
Today.
It was super fun, man. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, thank you for hanging out for the entirety of this episode. Hope it was great. Would love to hear from you. Was it great? And what stood out? Do you have any takeaways? Do you have any action items, things you're gonna do or stop doing as a result of what was talked about here? You can leave a comment in the video. And if you wanna reach out, if there's anything that I can do to help you, make sure to reach out. You can email me, Ryan, R-Y-A-N, @studiosherpas.com. And you can always send a DM on our socials at Grow Your Video Business or at Ryan Corral. It's K-O-R-A-L. Otherwise, thanks for being here, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye for now.